Welcome back, everyone, to Law School Life and Beyond's Leadership Series. My name is Katya, and I'm the host of this podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by Norm Dotson. Norm is a family lawyer in the Detroit area and business partner of my previous guest, Keith Driscoll. The two of them have started their own firm called Confidant Consult, and Norm is going to tell us a little bit about the business model and different areas of law that their firm focuses on. So with that, thank you so much, Norm, for coming on the show today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So what drew you to a career in law?
So just kind of growing up in Detroit, 7 Mile area, I've had a lot of friends and even family members who have had, encounters with the law, whether it be traffic tickets or just life happenings. We never knew what to do. Following College of Engineering, I was doing some work as a contractor for the Navy and as a civilian. And I seen an opportunity to apply to law school. Never thought I'd get in. End up getting in. Didn't tell my family because I knew I wasn't going to be able to pay for it. Then got a letter saying that I was eligible for the Damon J. Keith Scholarship, which paid for my entire law school tuition.
Wow.
Given that opportunity and kind of knowing that if anyone else was in my shoes, specifically, from where I'm from, I don't know. I felt like I would have been doing a disservice not to, at that time, try to pursue a career in law. And then, lucky enough for me, after 3 years and, taking and passing the bar, became a lawyer.
Wow. And so you said that you started off in engineering then?
Yeah. So I did industrial engineering for about 2 years prior to going to law school.
Okay. And did you go into law school then thinking you wanted to maybe go into
intellectual property? Yes. So the 3 years the 3 years I attended Wayne Law, I also worked full time at Dickinson Wright as a patent agent. So for 3 years, I learned how to do trademarks, copyrights, patents, with the idea that, when I graduated, this is what I would do because I'm qualified to do this. But obviously that isn't what happened.
So now you're in family law. What drew you to family law?
Just wanting to help people. So I have a big family as far as me and my siblings. I have 3 daughters, and having my 3 daughters, I have joint physical and legal custody of my 3 daughters. And I went through that process. So when people say, been there, done that, I've been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. I got 3 little souvenirs to show for it. But having gone through that experience, kind of, being on that, having experienced that, I know that it can be a difficult time simply because, in addition to having to worry about court or making these days, am I filling out this paperwork correctly? What's an answer? What's a motion? Because that's what I was experiencing when I was going through it. On top of having to juggle, actually being a parent or still having to co-parent with this person who, potentially has you in court. Having to kind of juggle all those things. I know it's very stressful, so I feel like if I have a skill set that can assist people in alleviating that stress, and then making sure that we, all parties do what's in the best interest of the child, then, that's where I would want to lend my talents to.
And I was just literally speaking to a friend a few moments ago about family law and how it really is a higher calling because you're dealing with people at a very emotional time in their lives, and just client management in that situation is so much more difficult. And I appreciate you saying that it's whatever's in the best interest of the child, because I feel like a lot of family lawyers don't necessarily focus on that, and because the parents aren't focused on that. And for you to direct your clients to that main priority, I think is really, really great.
Yeah, no, I recently worked on a case, and me and the other attorney, we were on the exact same page. And
Nice.
Having worked in a situation like that and then working with an attorney who's adversarial, you can definitely tell the difference. Because regardless of what mom and dad are doing, everyone thinks that their soup tastes better. But, when when you put into focus that the whole reason we're doing this is because we both love, our children, and we want what's in their best interest, it makes things a lot easier, because it's very difficult to say that it's not in the best interest of the child to have, both parents being an active involved participants.
Exactly. And I just want to refer back really quick to your law school experience. How did you find law school then, coming from an engineering background and not really anticipating law school being in the cards? How was that?
So to be completely honest, so like I say, boredom was one part of why I decided to kind of transition from engineering to law. Another thing was just kind of, I'm a very competitive guy. And me and my friends, we have this friend group, group chat.
Okay.
And one of them, he was in law school at the time, and he was like bragging about some reward he was getting. And I was like, so, while I was in the hotel room, I took the LSAT as kind of like an intellectual middle finger, if you will, to my friend. And like I said, didn't tell anyone, just kind of took it, got in, still didn't tell anyone. And then it was when they, offered to pay my tuition where, I realized that it was very important for someone who could represent the underrepresented to enter into this field, take it serious, and show that, we can do this too.
So you're the dark horse. And then you got into law school and you were working with Dickinson Wright the entire time. So clearly you did really well in law school.
Yes. Yep.
Wow, that's awesome. Did you take family law courses in law school?
I did.
Okay.
I took family law, and then, like I say, a lot of intellectual property, and then a lot of municipal law.
Okay, cool. And so now my next question is, can you describe the type of work and the structure of your new firm, Confidant Consult, please?
Yes. So one of the reasons we decided to form it, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, was that it was obvious, from our employment at, a different law firm, and to, my personal experience, that it's difficult to get legal services at an affordable price. Specifically, getting those services, you typically associate paying more with, getting better legal representation. And for a huge chunk of the population, we're not talking about the wealthy, because they can afford their own, legal fees. Even those within 120% of the poverty rate, they qualify for legal services and legal aid. But it's that forgotten middle.
Yes.
That huge chunk of the population who has to, decide, all right, am I going to make sure my child has these new uniforms because school just started, or and just kind of wing it when it comes to potentially being removed from, our home, or am I going to get legal representation?
Exactly.
And not be, and then my children suffer, or my family unit suffers, or what have you. So what we've tried to do is incorporate a model where we don't exceed 75% of the median billing rate.
Okay.
To kind of assist those people, but at the same time working with those individuals, whether it's coming up with, payment plans right off the back, providing notification, just proper notice, and then just using different techniques. Like I say, if there's an attorney I can work with, hey, let's figure out what the most efficient way to resolve this matter is. That way, one, both sides are happy, and then two, the clients aren't having to come out their pockets because of personal disputes, and the attorneys can kind of, work things out on their behalf.
And I think that when I was talking to Professor Driscoll about this, I honestly thought it was brilliant, because my father's a family lawyer in Windsor, and he takes primarily legal aid clients. But the bar for legal aid is so low that it's so low. If you make $1 more, you are still in no way, shape, or form able to afford a lawyer at $300 an hour. It's just not going to happen. And so I think that this is so brilliant, and I will still be lucrative, because you're capturing a huge part of the population that just cannot afford a lawyer right now at an affordable rate.
Nope, you're absolutely right. So I actually worked in the business law and business and community law clinic at Wayne State University. And while we could help some people, form their businesses and just assist them in those matters, the majority of them who were in very similar circumstances financially, however, you like you said, you're $1 over that line,
Yeah.
and
You're
it's
out of luck.
disappointing. It's very disappointing to have to turn those people away when I was in the clinic. So now that we're capturing that $1 over population and people who need legal services, who just in the past haven't had that available to them. It's rewarding, but at the same time, like you're saying, it's a business, and there are a lot of people who are in need of that service.
So what types of legal services are you offering then? Because I know you're family law, and I know that Professor Driscoll, one of your partners, is IP. What else are you guys kind of offering?
Okay, so we have family law, intellectual property, business, contracts. So that's anything ranging from just service agreements to NDAs, what have you. IP, so trademarks, patents, copyrights, family law, and probate matters. And then we've just because of recent activities have started to kind of pick up a lot of landlord-tenant matters. The tenant side, tenants being removed for various reasons, and we're trying to make sure they keep a roof over their head, especially during COVID and school just starting back up and everything else that life has to throw at us.
So how have you found then transitioning from working? You were at Dickinson, right? Correct.
Yeah.
So how have you found transitioning from being an associate to now starting your own firm, your work-life balance, how's your quality of life? How do you miss the big firm kind of vibe, or do you miss the stability of having that kind of salary, or is owning your own firm a dream come true?
So for me, I really enjoy the culture, what me and Mr. Driscoll have put together, just because of the people who we're dealing with on a daily day, on a day-to-day basis. A lot of them, come in, we're not, strangers or referrals or what have you. And, by, in a couple weeks, we know all their kids' names. We know, how they do in the baseball game. You weren't a crazy mom out there, were you?
Cute.
It's a different relationship, if you will, kind of like with the clients. You still maintain that professional relationship, but you feel a little bit more connected with the clients, based off of who we're servicing. Whereas on the other side, when I was doing IP, we're talking about gadgets and things that don't have a beating heart, whereas here with family law, doing the business and even the intellectual property for those, for that forgotten middle, it's a lot easier in relating, if that makes sense, relating to those people and just being able to build a somewhat personal connection with them, along with being able to take care of their legal matters.
And was it stressful to take the leap from a salary to starting your own firm?
Yeah, no, definitely. But, I'm not young, but, I'm at that age where, if you're going to take a risk, now is the time to do it. Exactly. Cool. And it just so happened that, whether it just be general circumstances, because of COVID and everything and everyone kind of being strapped tight, or the fact that there's an actual need for, legal services within the demographic that we're servicing. It was a good call, and I would like to say we got lucky, but as you said at the beginning of your show, it's something that people need. We're just answering the need. That's all.
That's awesome. It seems like you guys are in a great place, and this is a great idea, and I'm so excited to see what happens in the next few years. Thank you so much. Do you have any advice for future and current law students? Yeah, well, first I would say take your time. Okay.
A lot of times when people begin law school, it's because they think they know exactly the reasons for entering law school. One of the first conversations I had with other students, we went out for lunch, and they're talking about the different, the big firms. I
Yeah.
don't, I came from an engineering background. I knew, no,
Yeah.
zero law firms. I'm like, why are y'all just trying to get with the big firms? They're like, well, that's what we're here for. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I would say take your time. Like I say, obviously I started intellectual property and, made the transition after, doing it for a couple of years and, just wanting that change in scenery. Um, had I known I was going to do this and enjoy doing family law as much as I do, I probably would have geared my education differently. But
Hmm.
in my mind, I knew what I was going to do. And I feel like there were a lot of credits and just information and knowledge I left on the table because I was in a rush to, kind of complete my degree and get out of there.
Yeah, yeah. And my dad always says the cool thing about being a lawyer is you're just learning different types of law. Like you transitioned from IP and you just learned family law and you can go and do that. And that's why I think a lot of lawyers actually do change their careers. I think the average was like 5 times because it's really cool, the opportunities for growth and how you can just skate
Yeah.
between different areas of law.
Yeah. That's like if I could do it all over again, I probably would, just take as many different varieties of the law, not necessarily try to, what they call specialize in any
Yeah.
particular subject. That way I can get a taste of everything. And then, by doing that, I think it would have helped me realize, exactly where I would find the most enjoyable and rewarding work. With, for me, my taste is, family law and, business. So.
And it's still so cool that you have the IP background because you can still service clients in that respect
Yeah.
also. And that's the more you know.
Yeah, typically when you have one problem or need a lawyer for one particular reason, you need
Yes.
a lawyer for another particular reason. You need a lawyer.
Yes.
Oh, can you assist me in drafting this contract? Of course. What are you drafting the contract for? My business. Okay.
Okay.
I've also been thinking about getting a trademark. Okay. And so
Okay.
typically that's the way it works. So yeah, it's nice to have a lot of tools in my toolbox to assist my clients, and then in the future, if I decided to kind of make that jump, I at least have somewhat of a breadth of knowledge of things to where it could assist me in making that transition.
Further to your point earlier with your advice to future and current law students is that everyone kind of sees big firms as like the end all be all. So now that you're into your career, how do you define success now, having left law school and experiencing the big firm also?
So for me, my success has always been defined, at least in recent years, by how happy my kids are. You know,
Cute.
like in, work now. I'm able to service my clients, to pick how many clients, I want to do. And then by doing that, figure out how much time it's going to take. And then I'm able to devote as much time, as much energy, do the fun dad things with my children. So for me, my success has always been, you know, um, when do I feel like I'm in the best position to provide for my children? Whether we're talking about a paycheck or we're talking about time, um, that's how I define success. And right now, for me, it's having time, for my kids.
That's awesome. And being the partner of the firm, creating this firm for yourself, you basically are only answering to yourself, really. So that's cool that you can make your own schedule.
Yep. And me and Keith are both engineers prior to, and I'm sorry, Mr. Driscoll, we're
No,
both
it's fine.
engineers prior to law school. So, we kind of think differently, as far as about being efficient and trying to do things in a
Yes.
manner, where we're not taking a lot of, time or mental space from ourselves because, time is one of those things you can't get back.
Yeah.
And for a client, time is money,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
So we try to work as efficient as possible. That way we can service as many, clients as possible while at the same time maintaining our relationships with our children and our respective families.
And Professor Driscoll said that, because I asked in off the record a conversation with him about how you guys connected and started this, and he said you guys saw each other at a crosswalk.
So me and Keith have just randomly bumped into each other for maybe the last 6 years. So the first time I met him, and this was when I was doing engineering, we had a mutual buddy. He was like a doctor from like Sweden or somewhere. I met at a conference. He was in Detroit. He calls me up, "Hey Norm, let's go. I want to go to a Tigers baseball game."
Nice.
I was like, "Okay, cool. So go get some tickets. We're going." So the buddy he brings with him is Keith. So we're kind of talking, and Keith was doing engineering at the time, and before law had ever entered my mind, during this Tigers game, which was, boring to his own credit, Keith is talking about, I'm applying to law school. I'm like, why? So then fast forward, when I'm at Wayne Law, Keith interviews me at Dickinson Wright.
Wow.
Yeah. Originally, he tells them not to hire me.
Why?
Because the person who referred me, he didn't really refer me. He just made a post on Facebook, and I responded to the post.
Okay.
But that person apparently was a terrible employee and just did a lot of shady things.
Oh.
So they associated me with that person.
Okay.
And then after the interview, Keith was like, "Yeah, you killed it. What am I going to say?"
Oh.
And then he later told me, "Yeah, I told him not to hire you at first."
That's so funny. Oh my gosh.
And then, of course, we worked together at DW. And then, like I say, recently, walking through downtown Detroit. And, Keith is walking across the crosswalk. And, he has a large stature.
I've only seen him on Zoom.
I would say, he has a large stature, but he always has, like, the same haircut.
Okay.
So I was like, "Keith? Norm?" So, we went, grabbed some happy hour and, kind of chatted it up. And during that conversation, this is where we both realized, kind of our passions aligned. And, we wanted to change as far as how the legal industry is kind of being, operated.
Okay. Cool. What, life is so funny how things happen. Wow.
Yeah. But me and Keith, we just keep bumping into each other.
That's really cute. So do you guys have an actual office space, or are you completely remote?
No. So we primarily do remote just because, again, it cuts down on overhead, and that's what we're trying to do for our clients. However, we do have an office space. I believe the address is 1313000 Woodward Avenue, Woodward Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think we've had one client want to meet in person. And that was just to make sure we were real people and weren't going to just take their money. But other than that, clients, they typically get it. And they're like, yeah, no, if they give you an option for Zoom court, do Zoom court. If they give you, if we can just talk face to face, but, via, a couple laptops, let's do it that way.
Okay. Well, it was really nice speaking with you, Norm. I honestly really enjoyed this, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Take care, Katya.
And that concludes today's episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in today, as always, and be sure to tune in next week for Law School Life and Beyond's next episode of the Leadership Series.